Mark raised his glass and smirked, amber beer catching the light. It was late, the bar almost empty, silence stitched between our words. Then my phone vibrated. His wife. Her voice shrieked through the speaker, raw and broken. "Mark's been in a coma for 3 days. The doctors say he'll never wake up." I froze. My hand went numb around the glass. I turned toward him. Mark sat there, watching me. "No," I whispered. "He's right here." I angled the phone, let her see his face. The scream that came from her was not confusion, it was terror. "Get away from him!" she shrieked. Then the line went dead. Mark didn't laugh, didn't blink, just sat there, his eyes too steady, his posture too perfect. And for the first time in all the years I'd known him, I realized I had no idea who he really was. The drive home was suffocating. Mark hadn't spoken since the call. He leaned back in the passenger seat, silent, like he was waiting. I replayed her words again and again. 3 days. Coma. Impossible. When I dropped him off at his house, the windows were dark, curtains drawn. He gave me a smile that wasn't a smile and disappeared inside. I sat in my car for a long time. Later that night, I checked the hospital. She hadn't lied. Mark was there, pale and still, tubes running into his arms, machines whispering his pulse. His chest rose shallowly, mechanically. I stood at the foot of his bed, staring at his body, his real body. Then, who had been drinking with me? The question carved into me like ice. I didn't tell her what I'd seen. Not yet. She was hysterical enough. But suspicion began to crawl across every memory of Mark I had, every word, every laugh, every shared secret. How much of it had been him, and how much had been something else wearing his face? I started quietly. His phone, his emails, old conversations. I knew his passwords. He had trusted me too much. Or maybe he had planned it that way. Patterns emerged. Messages sent when he was supposedly unconscious. Bank withdrawals, meetings logged in his calendar, a life running parallel to his hospital bed. And beneath it all, a network of names I didn't recognize. Men, women, crossed-out appointments, numbers that went dead when I called them. One night, I followed Mark. He left his house at midnight, moving briskly like a man on assignment. I trailed him across town, watching him enter an apartment I'd never seen before. He stayed for hours. Lights flickered, shadows passed the blinds. I stayed in my car, rage tempered by calculation. The next day, I visited the hospital again. His wife sobbed beside the coma-stricken Mark, clutching his hand. She looked at me through swollen eyes. "They say he might never come back," she whispered. But I knew he already had, just not as himself. I kept my mask on, nodded, held her hand, but inside, the truth grew sharper. This wasn't an accident. It was deception, a double life, a body split in two, and one of them was lying to all of us. The breakthrough came from a DNA kit. I took a glass he had drunk from and compared it against samples I already had, from the real Mark's things, from hospital swabs. The results came back jagged and undeniable. They weren't the same. Whoever sat across from me in that bar was not Mark. Not even related, just a perfect mimic. I confronted him quietly, without words. One evening, I slid the printed report across the table. Same bar, same corner seat. He unfolded it. Read. The mask slipped for a fraction of a second, just a flicker. His lips twitched, eyes hardening. Then he smiled again. Too smooth. "You always were the curious one," he said softly. He didn't deny it, didn't bother. And that told me everything. The next day I went to his wife. I didn't tell her with words. I showed her. The documents, the surveillance photos, The DNA report. At first, she broke. Tears, denials, screams. But when she saw the evidence, she went silent. She looked at the man lying in the hospital bed, tubes feeding him life. Then at the photos of the imposter drinking with me, walking, laughing. Her face hardened into something colder than grief. Together, we planned, carefully. When the imposter came home that night, she was waiting, not alone, lawyers, officers, family friends. Every truth laid bare in files, in faces, in silence. His expression barely cracked, but for the first time I saw hesitation in his movements. The mask had been torn, and he knew it. Mark never woke. His body remained in the hospital, fading piece by piece until the machines stopped. The imposter vanished. No trace, no forwarding address, just absence. But absence was enough. His power lived only in secrecy. Once exposed, he became nothing more than a shadow fleeing the light. I often think back to that night at the bar. The smirk, the glass raised in mockery of everything I thought I knew. I no longer drink. I no longer share easy trust. But I carry one truth sharper than any blade. Sometimes betrayal doesn't come from losing a friend. It comes from realizing you never had one at all. And when the mask falls, what's left isn't horror. It's clarity. Clarity colder than grief.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.